This video is made possible by Second Call Defense. Second Call Defense provides immediate, upfront legal protection for a member who is forced to use any legal weapon for self-defense. So protect yourself today with Second Call Defense. I did. You'll find the link in the description. Hi, I'm Joel Persinger. I'm the Gun Guy. Thank you very much for all of your wonderful support of GunGuyTV. I'm very, very grateful. Please do check us out on the alternative locations that we have, just in case something happens with YouTube. You just never know. And then check out the GunGuyTV Firearms podcast. It's available on your favorite podcast player. You can also join GunGuyTV crew, and I wouldn't complain at all. That helps support the channel. So check out also the other channels that I have. You'll find the links for those in the description. I've been getting a lot of questions, and move my coffee here. I've been getting a lot of questions about reloading equipment lately, and I think a lot of that is that people are concerned because of the whole ammo shortage. It's not going to help out too much with this ammo shortage if you don't already have the equipment, you don't already have the components. But I think a lot of folks are getting prepared for the next ammo shortage because unless you have a really short memory, you know that this has happened before. So one of the questions I've gotten is on scales, basically. Beam type scales as opposed to electronic scales. And I'll do one on electronic scales another day. I thought I'd talk about beam scales because this Lee safety scale keeps coming up, and I think that's what they call it, is the Lee safety scale. And so I want to start off with a little disclaimer here and say that I'm not beating up on Lee reloading products. Lee makes great products, a lot of great products, and they make great products for the working man, and that's me or working woman or whatever. And they try to keep the price down and the quality up, and I do appreciate them a lot. As you can tell, I have Lee products. I have Lee load-alls over here. I also have a mech grabber for shotgun shells, and I have a lot of Lee dies sitting here. I've got a Lee powder measure. I also have an RCBS powder measure, and I've got a couple of other things, a Lee Loadmaster over there, and a Lee single-stage press. I also have an RCBS rock chucker. So, and I've got some Lyman stuff and so on. So I'm not a brand snob. I'm just going to point out to you that some things are better than others. And where it comes to safety, the Lee safety scale, there are just better options. Does it work? Sure. But there are very much better options. I find the Lee safety scale, I've had it for a long, long time. I've used it quite a bit. I find that it's a gigantic nuisance. And so I just don't use it hardly ever anymore. So I want to make sure that you understand why. And so let's take a real close-up look to this, and I'll show you how to set it up and how this scale works. Now this scale is very accurate. Well, reasonably so. There's a couple of problems with its accuracy. I'll show you one here in just a second. But one of those things is you can see that it's not exactly where it's supposed to be. If I kind of look at it, you can see it's not lined up quite right. And I'll show you how to adjust that. What you would do is essentially you got to get in here. And you got to adjust this little doohickey here a little bit. So you got to move it just a little bit. And then when you get done, it bobs forever and a day trying to make up its mind as to whether it's going to be accurate or not. And it takes forever. So I generally try to stop it. Let's see if it'll stay there. Now, obviously it's going to need a little bit more adjustment. But even when you get it dead on, the tiniest little breeze throws this thing off. Now I'm standing up straight, I'm 6'2", this thing's about 2 feet from me, and I'm just going to breathe a little bit and blow that direction, watch. And so as a result, if I open the door of my shop or whatever, every little breeze that comes along, if I open the window of the shop, every breeze that comes along, if I turn on the air conditioning or the heating in here, the fact that it's blowing air around, this thing just goes absolutely bonkers. And so it's unusable during those times. Now, as far as setting it up is concerned, it really wants to be level. So you got to get a little level and put it there and level it out. My bench in my shop is not quite level, it's real close, but it's not there. And so I had to attach this to a board and then mount some screws so that I could adjust each screw up and down to get the board to not rock and to get the thing to be level so that I could at least set it up and get it to work. And then once you do that, then you take the tray off and you have this little adjustment over here. So you've got this ball which locks into position. They call it a poise. And so this is your number of grains by 10, okay? Over here, you've got this slider, and there's a little lock right here, I don't know if you can see it or not, that you have to push up on, and then it'll slide. And then when you get it to the position you want, you push it back and it's locked in position. Well, as you can see, you have to, let me unlock it again. You see all these lines here. These lines have to line up in the lines above the numbers. So if you want 4 grains, for example, you can see down here it points at 4 grains. Then you have to line it up so that those lines, the solid line appears above the, above the 0, and then you got a little bit of a line, a little bit of a line over the 1 that's above, and a little bit of a line that's over the 9, and then you're exactly on 4 grains, if you get that. Now, I don't have my glasses, so I can't see it that well, but you get the idea. If I want 4.5 grains, then I have to look up here. I get to the 4, then I move to the left until I have a solid line on the 5 and a little bit of a line on the 4 and the 6. Well, you can see where it's real easy to mess that up. You're never going to do that the same way exactly twice. You know, Richard Lee in his book, which honestly, Richard's book on modern reloading, or whatever it's called, is actually a very good book if you can get past his narcissism and pride in the thing. But if you get it you got it kind of close about where you want it to be, you're never going to get it 100%, because there's no, when you're dealing with this scale, there's no hard delineation. It doesn't lock into place in certain places. It just slides back and forth, and it's all up to your eyeballs to be able to see and for you to get that exactly right each time. So one thing is it's super sensitive. The other is that it's not as accurate as you'd like it to be, because you're never going to get the same adjustment twice when you go to set it up. And then it bobs up and down like crazy, and then in order to get this to be where it's supposed to be, you actually, we're looking down on it, you actually kind of want to be level at it to make sure you line it up. But if it's a little high, if it's a little low, then you have to adjust this little wheel, and it's tiny, tiny little adjustments. And every time you adjust it, now you can see it's bobbing up and down. I'm not doing anything. This is just because I'm moving around and I'm disturbing the air around it. And you can see as I disturb the air, look what it does. It's a pain in the butt. Now, if I go over here and I adjust this, even just a little bit, watch what it does. It's going to take a while. Now it's too heavy, so now I got to adjust it back a little bit. And now guess what? It's too light. And so now I got to keep adjusting it until it finally bounces back and forth and gets me where I want to go. This takes a long time. Now, yeah, you can get used to it where you can do it faster. I've seen guys do it in 3 to 5 minutes or something. That's all fine and dandy. And I've seen a lot of people take this thing and do like I did, mount it to a piece of wood and adjust it. And, you're trying to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear, basically. So I would suggest that you take this scale and just put it away. Okay, take the level off and put it someplace where it's out of your way. I'm going to put it over here. I keep it for demonstration purposes for students, but as I said, I just really don't use it hardly ever. The ones I use, which I use a lot, are these RCBS scales. And so let me move this one over here. This is a an RCBS 505 scale. And then this one here is an RCBS 500 scale. They're a little different, but not much. You'll notice, first of all, one difference is that this has 2 poises, this one, and the other one has 3 poises, this one and this one and this one. So that's the main difference between the two. Do they both do the same measurements? Yes, they just do it a little differently. But one of the things I love about these is this little wheel on the bottom. So you can see it's kind of like an adjustment on your refrigerator. You can move it up or down. You can level it out that way. So when you set this scale down and it's off, you want to put all the poises on 0. This one's on 0, and you'll notice all the notches on the top, so they're all very well defined. You move it forward, it locks in place. It's there. All right, you move it back. You don't have to guess and figure out where that is. This one, you move it forward, you move it back, it goes into a defined spot. This one, you want it at 0, you take it back to 0. Done. There's none of this sliding the thing back and lining up the little lines and like that. And then if you look at it again, we're looking kind of down on it. I can see that I really need to adjust it a little bit. So what I need to do is adjust this down. I'm going to adjust the wheel. Maybe I can get the camera down there so you can see it. I don't know. I'm going to try. Hopefully I can. And as I adjust the wheel, you can see that very quickly you're lined up pretty well, okay, and that's zeroed, as best as I can see from the angle that I'm at. And then if you blow on it, right, okay, yeah, it'll disturb it a little bit, but it'll return right back to zero again. Look how quickly it returns. So the difference in the scales are huge when it comes to actually getting to the point where you're just reloading. You'll spend 15 minutes fussing around with that Lee safety scale, and you can spend 30 seconds to a minute and your RCBS scale is set up. Now, is RCBS the only company that makes these types of scales that are easy to set up? No, of course not. There are other companies that make great scales. And again, the Lee scale is accurate, but not as accurate as I'd like it to be because of the sliding thingamabob, whatever you want to call that. That's a technical term. And then the fact that it just drives me nuts in trying to set it up. Can you make it better? Yeah, but there's something called making a silk purse out of a sow's ear, and at some point it's just not worth it. You get what you pay for. Did you buy the piece of equipment so you could load ammo, or did you buy the piece of equipment so that you could fiddle around and fuss with a scale and never get your reloading done? If equipment is more of a challenge to run the equipment, so much so that it makes it hard to get the job done that I'm trying to do, then I jettison that tool. Now, I've not found that to be the case with most of Lee's products, but in that one instance, no thank you, I do not use the scale. I'd much rather use my RCBS scales. And I should let you know that I'm a big fan of RCBS. I've had many RCBS dies and other stuff over the years. However, full disclosure, this Chargemaster, this RCBS 500 scale, which is going to go with me, I'm going to leave that in Arizona on our Arizona property, and this nice RCBS powder measure and the RCBS rock chucker were actually given to me by RCBS as a thank you for all the work that I do with promoting gun owners of California and the California Rifle and Pistol Association, but specifically gun owners of California. I didn't ask them to do it, but Sam Paredes was like, you know, I want to do something for you finally since you do all this stuff for us, and they sent that to me. So I did get it from them for free to use, but it was not a bribe to talk about the quality of their products. I started reloading on an RCBS rock chucker in like 1978. Okay, so then the oldest dies I have, I can't pull them out because there's so much stuff here, are my 45 ACP dies, which I got in the 70s, and those are RCBS. So I've been an RCBS fan for a very long time. Very, very good products. I use RCBS, I use Lyman, I use all these different products. The only thing I don't have a product from is Dillon, and I don't know why. Certainly they make great products. So I'm not here to disparage anybody, I want to clarify that. It's just in this one instance, I cannot recommend the Lee safety scale. If anything, I would recommend that you stay away from it and buy something better so that you can get your reloading done. Save your money and buy a better scale, whether that's from Lyman or RCBS, which is excellent, or whatever. I can highly recommend the RCBS beam scales because I have used them for decades, and they are awesome, and they're easy to set up, quick, accurate, ready to go. So that I can do. And if you'd like, I will put a link into the RCBS website for you in the description so you can go check out their products. Thank you very much for the questions about this kind of stuff. It helps me understand what content you want to see. So if you have questions about those things, go ahead and email them to me or put them in the comments. I sometimes don't see them in the comments, so an email would be better. You can go to our website at GunGuy.tv and just hit the contact thing. And if you send it to me through the contact form, it'll get right to me. Have a great week. Thank you very much for watching. And wherever you go, whatever you do, be safe.